How did life first begin? That is a question that has stumped even the most brilliant scientists for centuries now. How did non-living chemicals come to life? Much like the question of the origin of the universe, the answer to the question of the origin of life is still completely unknown in the scientific world. There remains only theory and speculation. In the 1950s, as advancing technology was enabling our telescopes to peer further and further into space, great advances were taking place enabling our microscopes to look deeper and deeper into the components of a living cell. In 1953, Cambridge University scientists James Watson and Francis Crick co-discovered within the cell the chemical that encodes the instructions that make up all living things on Earth. That chemical is deoxyribonucleic acid, or better known as DNA. DNA has the shape of a helical structure, the sides of which are made up of deoxyribose and phosphate molecules, and within them contain a specific order of 4 nitrogen bases. These nitrogen bases are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, represented by the letters A, T, C, and G. Much like a computer code that constructs the blueprints for computer software, these 4 nitrogen bases, A, T, C, and G, are constructed within the DNA as a series of sequences that make up the blueprints for all living things on Earth. Famous software developer Bill Gates once said that DNA is like a computer program, but far, far more advanced than any software ever created. Even the most simple single-celled organisms have hundreds of thousands of letters in their DNA sequences, some millions and even billions. Consider the amoeba. The single-celled amoeba has 670 billion base pairs in its DNA sequence. If it was written out, it would fill over 1,000 books of 1,000 pages. Note that that is not just a random list of A, T, C, and G's filling up those pages, but each letter, or nitrogen base, is specifically placed in sequence to communicate to the cell how to form that living organism. So we must ask ourselves, if even the simplest life form is constructed of such incredibly complex information, how could life simply generate from non-living chemicals? As Charles Darwin was speculating his theory of evolution, he theorized that life must have arisen spontaneously from non-living chemicals. Though without modern technology to peer within the components of a living cell, he had no idea just how incredibly complex even the most simple form of life is. Darwin's understanding of a cell was a simple glob of protoplasm, but today we're able to look deeper into the staggering complexity of its molecular machinery, as well as the information that forms the blueprint for this biochemical machine. In the movie Contact, Jodie Foster plays a scientist who works for the research organization SETI. They use massive satellites as they scan the skies for radio waves in search of extraterrestrial intelligence. In one scene, a radio frequency is registered on her equipment that make up a series of prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and so on. Foster's character is so awestruck by the frequency that she exclaimed, "That can't be natural phenomena." She is so convinced that her findings are the result of intelligent life that she goes public with it, and soon government and military officials converge on her facility. What was it that had her so convinced that those prime numbers were the result of intelligent life? It was because those numbers were arranged into a specific sequence, a sequence that could never be the result of blind natural forces. Only an intelligent mind can produce such a sequence. So the question is, if a simple sequence of prime numbers is without a doubt the product of an intelligent mind, then why, when we look at the overwhelming amount of information found within the most simple life forms, thousands of pages of sequenced letters, do we just assume it was the result of blind natural processes? When we look at the face of a mountain, we can see the evidence of natural laws taking effect as wind and rain cause random effects of erosion on that mountain. No one has ever gazed at Mount Rushmore, seeing the faces of Washington and Lincoln, and assumed that was the result of blind natural laws. Only such a sculpture can be produced by an intelligent mind. No matter how long you leave chemicals in the most pristine conditions, they will never form the information needed to construct a living organism. It is one of the most simple facts in the universe. Natural laws never produce intelligence. Scientists for years and years have sought to produce life through the advanced engineering of science, but not even the most intelligent minds in the world can produce what they claim nature can do all on its own. Famous atheist and Darwinist Richard Dawkins attests to this obvious truth of the design found in life that he even wrote a book called The Blind Watchmaker, alluding to nature being able to blindly produce something that so clearly looks designed. He states, "Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. He then uses the words intricate architecture and precision engineering, referring to the intricacies of apparent design found in the components of life. Isn't it odd that he would use these words of design describing something that nature just supposedly blindly produced? Francis Crick, who co-discovered DNA, also agrees with Dawkins about how obvious it is that there is appearance of design found in the genes of DNA. He even warns that biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. Why must they continually keep this in mind? Because logic dictates that complexity and information can only come about by design. Richard Dawkins, when asked about how life first began, stated a theory that potentially aliens designed a form of life that they seeded on this planet, which doesn't answer the question at all, because we then must ask, how did alien life originate? What Dawkins' response does show is that he further concedes that life is so complex that it begs the need for a designer. Prominent Darwinist Michael Ruse, when asked about how he thinks life first began, stated a theory that life could have been generated on the backs of crystals. These are the best responses the most intelligent Darwinists can come up with. Do we really believe that crystals have some supernatural power to create microscopic biochemical machines more advanced than any computer software ever created? So I challenge you to think honestly about this. If life is so complex that it gives such strong appearance of being designed by intelligence, if it is so wondrously intricate that it appears to be influenced by something supernatural, then perhaps the best explanation is just what the evidence infers, that life indeed was designed and created by a supernatural intelligent designer. Next time you look into a mirror, consider that inside your body contains nearly 100 trillion cells, each cell a microscopic biological machine. If you uncoiled the DNA in all of the cells of your body, it would stretch 10 billion miles, long enough to reach from Earth to Pluto and back. If the human eye was a digital camera, it would have 576 megapixels. The new iPhone 13 camera has 12 megapixels. The eye has the ability to distinguish 10 million colors. The nose can distinguish 1 trillion different smells. Your mouth contains nearly 10,000 taste buds. 1 square centimeter of your skin contains 200 pain sensors. Each day, the human heart beats 100,000 times and pumps 2,000 gallons of blood, keeping your body alive. If all of your blood vessels were placed end to end, they would wrap around the earth 4 times. The brain contains nearly 100 billion nerve cells joined by 100 trillion connections. 1 second of human brain activity is equivalent to 82,000 computer processors, yet it only uses the energy of a 10-watt light bulb. Do we truly believe that we are simply just a product of chance, just swirling chemicals that accidentally came to life? In the Bible, the psalmist writes these words speaking to God. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Friends, we are not just simply a product of chance. We are not just a purposeless accident of the cosmos, but we are fearfully and wonderfully made by God, each of us with a unique fingerprint, each of us with a unique purpose, and each of us uniquely special to our Maker.